How y'all doing today? All right, so when I say mad, you say rhythms. Mad, 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 mad. Wait, no, y'all didn't all do it. Let's try it again. Mad. Thank you. Making a difference, dancing rhythms. We believe that everybody was put on this earth to make a difference, and we make our difference dancing rhythms. And I always ask people, how do you make your difference? So, with that being said, TAPathetically speaking, because that's the name of the talk, I have to say that. TAPathetically speaking about rhythms and making history and making impacts and making a difference, I go back to the beginning. I needed dramatic music right there. So, in the beginning was the Creator, and the Creator gave us the ancestors, and the ancestors gave us the rhythm. Now, the first thing I thought about was this was a very great idea. Tap dance and talk. The part I didn't think through was tap dance and talk at the same time. So, what I like to do is integrate them, right? Because that's what life is, right? It's integrating all these ideas and these things. So to tell you how I fell in love with tap dance, an art form that is so rich in history and culture, I have to start back to my childhood. So I want you all to imagine me as a child. Okay, maybe your imaginations don't work that well. So, CJ, come on up here. This is me as a child. Affectionately, CJ is. I like that. Go ahead. Affectionately, CJ is called my mini-me. He is one of my TAP students. I know they're like, really? He's your son. And so many people thought he was my son till I started getting messages from family members saying, is there something you want to tell us? Did you forget? But what I love about my love of tap is that tap is a language. And the biggest part of the language is putting together sentences and putting together words. It's the improvisational aspect. Keep going, CJ. I like that, man. And so I was born and raised on the west side of Chicago in the North Lawndale community. If you know anything about statistics, statistically speaking, North Lawndale and Inglewood are two of the most violent-filled youth communities in Chicago. So statistically speaking, I wasn't supposed to really be here. I was supposed to end up either, a victim of some kind of violent crime or drugs or gangs or both or all three, whatever, but not be here. But it was the art form of tap that I was introduced to by my mom, who got tired of me making all the noise around the house, that allowed me to start expressing myself. And so what I love about improvisation, okay, you can stop. CJ will go all day. And so what I loved about tap and what I began to love about it even more is in the beginning it was about copying what the instructor did, and I was all too happy to copy. But when I got introduced to improvisation, I began to realize I can make my own statements, and then it became real. So when I, in turn, later down the line started a school, I said, well, I was introduced to improvisation, putting it into my own thoughts and patterns and process when I was about 11, and I fell in love with it. What if when we start students out at 3 and 4, we start giving them improvisation, having them take what you teach them and immediately turning it into their own thing from the beginning? And so that's why CJ can jump up here and just dance. He didn't ask me, what routine should I do? He didn't ask me any of those things. He just started dancing because he now has tap as a language that he can express himself and do things. So I always said, I wish I could go back and dance with myself. And I wonder what that would look and sound like. What do you think that would look and sound like, self? Let's try it. You ready? So this is me dancing with myself. 1, 2, 3, 4. So tap is this microcosm of the real world. Everything that exists in the tap world is taken from the real world and what's going on around us. So at one time, tap was it was born in the rhythms of Africa. And then through this horrendous thing called the slave trade, all these people ended up here. And when they started communicating, they used drums and they used rhythms and feet. And so the drums were taken. And so we still kept the rhythm in our bodies and our feet. So out of something atrocious came this wonderful art form of expression. Yeah? So, and through that expression, one dancer can make a statement, or dancers could come together and make a statement, and they can fellowship. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Mad Rhythms performing a piece called Freestyle Fellowship that talks about the fellowship between dancers and rhythm and learning how to deal with each other and work with one another. So, Star, take it away. All right, so with all that being said, it's simple as this. I was born and raised on the west side of Chicago, one of the roughest neighborhoods in Chicago. And because of being exposed to an art form, it's all about the exposure for our young people. I was taken out of that situation. I traveled. I went to see places. I started traveling to other countries. So then I, in turn, turned around and said, I want to make this possible for the next generation. And so what I then did was started Mad Rhythms, which was a company that was a volunteer thing to keep my little brother, say what up, J-Bo. Yeah, he's the comedian in the family. To keep him out of trouble. Because my mom would say, you know, your little brother's kind of running with the wrong crowd. And I said, okay, cool. So I started this thing, and we used to get together, and it was going beautifully. But, you know, I've heard a lot of talks about gender bias and things like that. And it just so happens I have a story that goes right into that. Because as I was doing this volunteer boys thing, and I was feeling good about what I was doing in the community, Star, my little sister, said, how come ain't no girls in it? And it's funny, I got ready to give her the answer, like, you know, but young men are going through, and she just looked at me, and I was like, you want to join? And so Star became the first young lady in Mad Rhythms, and we grew and grew, and I groomed these young people, but not only to copy me, I made sure that they all were better than me. Sometimes people see me dance, and they see them dance, and they go, oh, yeah, they're better than you. Like it's an insult. I mean, it is, but it makes me feel good after I've got over the insult itself that I trained them to be better. You know, one of the movies I like to quote is, what's that movie with Wesley Snipes where he's a vampire half? Blade. So in Blade, when he talks about being a daywalker and having all of the strength and none of the weaknesses of just vampires. So I'm a vampire. These are daywalkers, right? And so with all that being said, now they all teach. They all empower the next generation. You saw little CJ come up here and do a little improv. CJ's been tapping for about a year and a half. And our whole thing is to teach them not to just follow, but to create. And if we teach our young people to create, you will get masterpiece upon masterpiece upon masterpiece. So I'd like to thank you, and we're going to close with our last song, which is called All Things Shy. And it's a piece I created as a tribute to Chicago because I love this city, this windy city. All right? So let's do it.